work it out. Just holler, we can talk in a minute, we can work it out. Yeah. Holler, we can talk in a minute, we can work it out. But if you don't want to, then close your mouth. Just holler, we can talk in a minute.
Hey, what's going on? This is Area 31. Yay. If you do not know, my name is Darnell Adams.
It's your boy Mark Griffin, partner.
And this is Area 31, where we're all about that faith, that culture,
and that truth, you did.
We call it Area 31 because we're always going to give you three main topics in one area. That's where we get Area 31. Hey, Mark Griffin.
Yes, sir.
We got this real nice interview.
Yo, man, you talking about the one with Beyonce Alowishus?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Y'all make sure y'all tune in. This thing finna be crazy, ain't it, Rock?
Yeah, hey, we got Rock rocking with us today.
Southside champ, you already know.
Hey, man, she just dropped a whole bunch of knowledge on us, and man, y'all just tune in. Yeah, check it out. Rock with us.
Get your popcorn ready.
Let's go.
It's a movie.
Hey, might as well get right into it. Let's go.
Let's do it.
We always like to kick off and start, and we always like to ask people how their week and kind of weekend. It's kind of Tuesday, so how your week has been so far?
Listen, I'm on my red cup because the kids are back in school. It is a celebration. Shout out to all the parents, the single moms. You know, we in our family, you know, we have a bunch of grandchildren. So we all took our kids and put them in one house, which I really don't know what we were thinking, and let them have like the ultimate spring break. So I'm tired. This is my week now. They're back in school and I'm on my break up.
No, that's dope right there, because that's kind of like that old traditional type stuff right there, where all the family, cousins, and everybody get together. So I love that right there. So let's get into it. Where are you from? Where are you from?
Yeah, so I went to school in Marietta and Pope High School, and for me, I was always the one that threw the parties. You know, so during the week parties, like, you know, my house was the place to go to. I was an entrepreneur at a very young age. And so Hot 97 at the time was like the poppin' radio station. But I mean, you know, it was like a really small station. I mean, you know, they were still trying to get everything together. Hell, they were in a trailer off of Old National Highway. And so, you know, like I volunteered. Yeah. So, you know, I was volunteering to drive down there from Marietta to Old National and pass out club flyers and just anything that I could. And so, you know, that's how I kind of got into the radio station that way, you know, and then eventually I ended up like my junior year, I had like 50, you know, skip days. I said, you know, radio is where I want to be, but I'm from here. Long story short, born and raised.
So since you're from here, my boy Mark Griffin's from here, Atlanta raised. I'm from Cali. My boy Rock's from Boston. Since you're from the ATL, would you say Atlanta controls the culture?
Absolutely. You know, and so much to the point that even the movies and the TV shows and everybody is, you know, trying to come out here, at least set up a hub here because, you know, I mean, it's a hell of a lot cheaper, you know, than New York and LA. But I mean, not only that, I mean, you know, music is integrated so much into TV and movies. Why not have everything in one place? You know what I mean? So absolutely, we control the culture, we control clothing. I mean, you name it, all the hot trends are really kind of coming out of Atlanta.
Ooh, that's
right.
That's true.
That's right. Hey, so listen, let me ask you this question. Who is one of your favorite artists coming out of the city?
You know, that is such a tough question because, you know, no matter what you say, you know, there's going to be, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you know, T.I. is one of the most, 2000 is probably one of my all-time goats. But I mean, then you have somebody like T.I. who is like one of the greatest lyricists who can drop, you know, right there, who has some of the best songs, some of the best features. But then, you know, people leave out 2 Chainz. Like 2 Chainz is brilliant, you know, and then Jeezy. I mean, you know, Trap or Die. I mean, like he has the club music. I mean, everybody kind of has their own lane. So I don't think it would be fair for me to say who is my favorite. It really would determine like what mood am I in? You know what I mean? Because everybody kind of has like your own mood. Like if I'm chilling, if you're just hanging out at the club, I mean, and then you got to even go back to the Little Johns. I mean, Little John set the trend for
Oh
so
yeah.
many people, back in the day. I mean, if you wanted to shut the club down, you would play Little John, throw him up, and the fight would break out and the club be shut down. That's what the DJs would play back in the day to kind of, kick everything off. So, I mean, it just depends on what your mood is and where you want to go. And I'm from Atlanta. And, one thing about us, like real Atlantans, we support our own, especially old school Atlanta. New school Atlanta,
Oh yeah.
but old school Atlanta, we support ours.
No, that's real. Hey, so you took it back when you said how you kind of got in the radio game. You said you was out there passing out flyers, kind of doing that groundwork. I guess, can you talk a little bit about just doing groundwork and kind of how important that is? Because I feel this generation now doesn't want to do that type of stuff. They're like, yo, let me get right to it instead of kind of doing that groundwork. So can you talk kind of about that a little bit?
Generation is the generation of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything right now. When I was growing up, interns at the radio station, I mean, we had to do a lot of grunt work. Like we had to literally, I would go to McDonald's. I was working at McDonald's at the time. So I worked my shift at McDonald's. I closed the store down, and then I would have to be back at the radio station at 5 a.m. to get ready for the Ryan Cameron morning show. And I mean, you might not be done with your work until like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Nowadays these interns feel like, hey, I'm going to get there at 6, 5 o'clock is too early. I'm not here to go get coffee. Oh, it's not in my job title to sweep the floor. I'm from the era that, whatever you got to do to make sure that the job gets done is your title. You know what I mean? And I think that mentality of by any means necessary has kind of drifted away. Nowadays people want to know, well, what exactly am I getting paid for? And is that in my job title? Job title? There is no job title. Like, you do what you got to do to make it happen. So I definitely feel like we're missing that nowadays.
That's true. That's true. Mark Griff.
I guess kind of like to go off of Darnell's question, really like we live in a different time now where the groundwork is not necessarily the same. Like, cause I remember it like being outside of clubs, passing out your CD or, passing, trying to hang up you remember it, Rock? Yeah. Like trying to hang up our posters on the telephone poles and stuff like that constant grind. But now it's different. Now it's like, how many followers do you have on social media? What does your platform look like across the board from YouTube to Instagram to whatever social media accounts that they have? Is like, what does that look like in order for people to come and want to invest in you? And like, I was listening to a guy the other day. He was like, at this point, it's almost pointless to go from independent to a label because you already have such a huge following on social media, depending on what the numbers are as far as like the contract negotiation with a label. So what do you say to independent artists right now from where they are, their platform? Is it wise to kind of take that leap into a major label, or do you stay independent?
I knew you were going to ask me this question when you started going that route. That's a tricky question, so here's the thing. You hit something I want to go back to first. Social media has gotten artists lazy, because they'll get 100,000 followers or 200,000 followers and they'll think that they're the shit. And sir, I hate to break it to you, there are so many people that have hundreds of thousands of followers. You can buy hundreds of thousands of followers, and that doesn't necessarily even mean that you're going to make any money. However, I think that everybody has their own situationship that they need to look into. There are label deals for people. There are single deals. You might be like a Mooski who probably has one of the hottest songs that's going to be out this summer. And if I'm not mistaken, he didn't necessarily sign to Warner, but he has like a single deal with that song with Warner. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%. But, everybody, some people don't want to sign their name away, their rights away. Back in the day when they used to do the 360 deals where, the label would get, a percentage of everything that you're doing. Nowadays with social media, artists are getting smarter and saying, well, hold up. I have a platform, and that's what you were supposed to provide me back in the day, was a platform. Now the labels are good for, because they do have those relationships with radio and DJs, and they have the funding to kind of hit those angles that you might not be able to get to, and hit those streaming services and things like that. So it really just depends on where you are, you know where your song is. If it's a hit song and you just need to get it out, because you got to think too, like, there's a time limit on everything. you know you got to hit that window within a certain time frame. Now there are some people, like, if you look back, um Money Man Moo, he was working his record, that same record, for a year plus, but then it finally hit, and now he's on radio, he's popping, he's touring, like he's him and Red Push. I mean, they really really worked hard on that single. Everybody isn't as lucky, because you may outlive that time of that song, and then you have to move on to the next single, and the next single might not be the one. So I say all that to say every situation is different in the aspect of where you are, where your social media following is, where your budget is. If you don't have the budget, then yeah, you're going to need a label to help you out. If you do have the money behind you, then you don't need it. It just depends on where you are.
Well, that's a good point. Let me ask you this: as far as kind of what role has the role changed in the radio industry from kind of years back to now with all the digital platforms and things like that, or is that kind of radio role, you can say, still the same within the kind of music industry?
People will hit you up in your DMs and be like, hey, can you play my music on, how much does it cost to get radio spins? And you're like, hey, sir, that's like completely illegal. It's a federal offense. It's called payola. You cannot pay to get your song played on the radio. Like, you actually have to do the work. That's one of those things that you just can't, money can't buy, like, and that goes back to the fact of, artists being lazy and not wanting to put the work in. They think, hey, I got $1,000, I can get my music played on the radio. No, you can't. You still need to go work the records with the DJs, and you still got to go post up your flyers, and you got to get out there and be seen. You got to be at showcases, and you got to perform for free. And, no, you're not passing out CDs anymore, but you got to get creative with your marketing. Like, give them a jump drive, a streaming code, maybe you give a flyer with, like, your QRC code on it or something like that. I remember back in the day, I heard this song. The song was amazing. The dude didn't even put his damn name on it. It just said, listen, no contact, no name, no nothing. It was just a CD. And I'm like, the song is really good.
Beyonce, his name was Listen.
Huh?
His name was Listen.
I know, she missed it.
And it might have been, but you know what? I didn't know what the name of the song was. I couldn't have contacted him. And that's one thing, people forget, like, you need real deal marketing. Like, you gotta, one of the greatest analogies somebody taught me a long time ago, it's like, hey, if somebody puts like a McDonald's cheeseburger in front of you, and then they put like the Hawaiian ribeye from Houston's in front of you, which one are you going to eat first? The ribeye, because it looks better. Same with packaging. If you give me just like a blank CD, it's like, here you go. Or if you give me like a total package of, like, presentation of who the artist is, and like, I mean, the shit's wrapped, I mean, it looks professional, I'm gonna want to listen to this first, because it looks like the music is going to be good. Now, mind you, the other CD might be hitting way harder, but I'm going to listen to this one first just because it's got my curiosity. Like, did you spend more marketing than you did on the production, and your music sucks? But to each his own.
Wow. So what you're pretty much saying, in order to kind of get radio play, you kind of need that street buzz. You need to get in the streets.
You need the street buzz. You need streaming. You need all types of stuff. I mean, there's only so many songs a radio state, and I'm not a program director, so this is just what I've seen personally. I'm not the person that picks the music. I don't play the music, but I do see how the business is ran. But there's only so many songs that someone can play an hour, and you got to consider you're in the same fight with, the Moneybag Yo's, the 21 Savages.
Mm.
Like they're all fighting for that time too, because when they have a new song, they want to get their song played. Well, there's still, if there's 10 slots an hour, and I'm just throwing a number out there because it's an easy number. If there's 10 slots an hour and you got 21 Savage, Megan Thee Stallion, you know, six other people, and then there's three slots for new people, well, you're also fighting with, the Mooskies, the Vito's, the people who have the name to get that slot in. You can't just make time appear out of nowhere. You have to fight against the people that already have those huge followings and those huge budgets. Like, so your stuff has to be, it can't just be good, it has to be great. And, one of my program directors, had told us in the very beginning when he first came on, there's a book called Going from Good to Great. And, a lot of people don't realize, hey, you're really, really good. You are good, but are you great? And there's a huge difference from,
Mm.
I feel like I can sing in the shower, but do I think that I can actually go record a song? No, I'm not great. I'm not phenomenal. Like, you have to really be that person that can set yourself apart from everyone else, and that's what you see when you see the superstar. Like, you're watching American Idol. There's a gentleman from South Georgia. Oh God, I wish I could remember his name. He went to the 4-H club and he sang Rihanna Diamonds when he came on American. And this is this season. And mind you, I never watch American Idol because I never have time. TV watches me, I don't watch it. But when he came on and he sang
He
Rihanna
said,
Diamonds, he gave me goosebumps. I mean,
mm.
goosebumps. He wasn't. He could have been good. He was phenomenal. He had that je ne sais quoi that just sets you apart from everybody else. And he's. I mean, when this is over, he's gonna, whether he wins or not, he's gonna be a star.
So okay, here's my question for you. So with that, what does this generation like? What do they prefer? When I want to talk about like kind of like the rap side of it, because you gave some really good names as far as artists coming out of Atlanta, like Three Stacks, Tip, who have the lyrical ability. But what are the younger generation? Because I think that's what really helps build your buzz for these labels to even come after you, is for like the young people that are listening. So what do they prefer? Because I'm starting to notice like a huge shift as far as rap music goes. So there's a certain sound. So would this still be considered a Three Stacks era, a Tip era, or is it kind of going in another direction as far as this new generation goes?
Definitely going in another direction. I think, between the futures and the babies and, the people like that have definitely given Atlanta another a sound and kind of revitalized it. I mean, and even like, somebody that people don't know about, like a Pop Lord. Pop Lord is a huge writer based out of Atlanta, amazing talent. Somebody that I just think is a phenomenal. You got the Gunners. Gunna is so underrated. I think he is brilliant. Lyrically, I don't think he gets enough credit. But yeah, Gunna to me is probably one of the great lyricists. Little Baby, I mean, his music rides. I mean, people rock with him because he makes that turn up music. And then he also comes back with a message
Hmm.
too that people can relate to. So I mean, there was the Andre era, but I mean, and yes, you're right, there is a new era in Atlanta. But I do think it still can compare to what we went through. Now of course, the 90s, I mean, we're always gonna be like, oh, the 90s was the best. But I mean, this generation, it's popping too. Like, like they definitely have some huge talents, that I feel like are still keeping Atlanta, leading the pack with everybody else.
Most definitely. Most
Do you miss the lyricists versus the singing?
definitely. Good question.
um I think that you still get it, like, I mean, Drake can sing and still drop a dope verse, Baby has shown, with several of his songs, he can still, sing a hook and stop and drop a song. Um, I think that you can still get it, I just think that there's so much music. See, you got to understand, like, back in the 90s, I mean, whatever people put out or is whatever you could get out on CD. Like, you couldn't just put out a whole album tomorrow on social media and everybody can listen to every single song without buying the music. People don't buy albums now because the artists make money off
That's true.
streaming and all of they do the music, but the music gives them the platform to make other money, like merch. Remember Chance the Rapper for such a long time, like he didn't sell his music, he gave his music away for free, but you might pay $50 for a hoodie or $30 for a hat, when you go to his concerts. But because the music made people love Chance the Rapper, they wouldn't mind buying the merchandise and stuff like that. um so you're getting more music than you would back in the day. So I mean, I think that you still have access to plenty of lyricists. And then I think, oh, you know what? Let me. I don't know. Are y'all familiar with Earth Gang?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got people like
Agreed.
Earth Gang. They're super dope. Huge lyricists. So and they sing too. So they're great.
Wow.
The
No,
lights
yeah.
go out.
So you mentioned kind of starting off Ryan Cameron's show. I know you kind of do some things within Ricky Smiley kind of community. I guess let me ask you this: what makes a good radio show, kind of a good show, you can say?
I mean, Ryan once told me, it's finding lightning in a bottle, finding people that you can connect with and have chemistry with and bounce off with. How you can look out the side of your corner and know that your co-host, like you just did, has a question and is ready to go. It's not about ego, it's about what's in the best interest of the show. And just being able to know what's trending in the community, to be able to, and that's what radio is always supposed to be, is about the community, helping people in the community. If there's a apartment fire, one thing I remember, with the A team, there was an apartment fire over in Decatur, and, like, I mean, literally it obliterated, like, the entire apartment complex. And just feeling good afterward, like, we got out there, we got people to bring beds and furniture, and just using that platform to reach out and help people. um, but just having like-minded individuals on a show, people who can really focus on the brand. And it's not just about their self. Like, a lot of times you find people, they're doing it for the hype or to get their social media following up and stuff like that. But just to find people that have that same common ground and that genuine passion.
No, that's good. That's good. I think that's kind of what radio can bring you, what Apple Music and Spotify can't bring you. Like you said, it can bring you that help out within the community. So that's why I kind of still always tune in to the radio, local radio, because it kind of keeps my ear on what's going on within the community in the Atlanta street. So that's why I love radio. So so Mark Griffin.
Um, I guess cause I've been listening for, like, I guess like what Darnell was saying. I've just been listening for years, to just like the content that you guys continue to put out, like, on a consistent basis. So I guess for any pod or station that's just getting started, what would you say to them as far as consistency goes? Because, like, I've learned over the years in anything that I'm doing to just remain consistent. If I feel like it's something true to me, if it's something dear to me, I've learned the level of consistency, because you can be talented all day long, but if consistency isn't there. So what would you say to a show that's just getting started as far as it pertains to consistency?
I think you answered your own question. Consistency is key. Whether you're good, you're bad, you know, you got to make sure every Monday or every Tuesday, whatever your drop date is that you put out a good show, and that, you continue to watch it, and grow and improve. Now if you watch it and you don't see anything wrong with yourself, that's a problem. you know like you should. Even me, I'm so weird. Like, I hate listening to myself. I've always hated listening to myself and like watching back, but that is the only way that you can be like, oh, you know what, I don't like the way I answered that word, or I do need to work better on using my crutch words. Like, you'll, when you listen to yourself back, you'll be like, oh man, I say coming up or hold on, or like and the only way that is to like air check yourself, or have somebody else air check you, or you air check each other on the show, and to be like, hey, we can improve this way. So yeah, consistency, and then just following up and air checking yourself
Mm, I like that.
So I guess
and video.
we kind of touch on everything within this show. I know I'll be seeing you post, and you definitely go in on certain topics. I just really want to ask you, kind of, let's touch on like George Floyd, real quick. I guess kind of
That's a good one.
in your thoughts.
Trial going on now.
I guess let's hear kind of your feelings on that.
Just so y'all don't think I'm an alcoholic, like it's just a Coke on ice. But I'm so angry, and I was having a discussion with a friend earlier. I'm so angry because, you would think that, with the Breonna Taylors and the George Floyds and the Trayvon Martins and, the Mr. Jacksons and the Rashad Arbery's and, all these different people that have been murdered. And I'm saying murdered because I feel like it was unnecessary. With all of these different people that have been killed by police, that they would have some level of, what's the word I'm looking for? They would be more cautious. They would be more aware. Like, hey, I don't want to kill anybody. People are watching. They'd be more careful, because they'd be like, hey, I don't want to be Derek Chauvin on trial. You would think. And then, here we go. Dante. Now Dante's shot. The motherfucking, can I cuss? Sorry.
Good, it's
The
okay. Go
fucking
ahead.
Oh, that's that passion right
I
there.
know. Go ahead.
I wasn't live. The motherfucking cop had the nerve to say that they thought that it was a taser. Bitch.
Mm.
How do you get a taser and a gun mixed up? Like, that is the dumbest excuse I could ever. It makes me so angry to my soul that sometimes I get tired of watching the news. But then if you don't say anything and if you don't speak up, you're a part of the problem. And that goes to the people that say,
True.
I have family members who are cops. I have people who are in the military. I have friends who, work outside of the club who are officers. And that goes for them too. If you're on the police force and you see shady shit going on, regardless of the brother code, you don't say anything, you're a part of the problem. Whether you're white, black, Asian,
Agreed.
whoever, if you don't stand up and you don't say anything, you're a part of the problem. And, I've had people who come at me and because I'm from a very interracial background, and I've had people who come at me and they don't like what I say, and they feel like, I offend people in my family. And I'm like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, I have two black children, two black sons. And no matter how good I raise them, no matter what I do to make sure that I give them every lesson that they need to know, no matter how good and sweet they are, they could be randomly pulled over, do everything that they're supposed to do, and still have something like this happen.
That's true. That's real.
Very true.
That hits home to me too. Just having a little son who's 3, and having to one day explain that, So I feel that right there. Just having a little kid, it's not easy, and those conversations are not going to be easy, So that's just difficult situation. I know the whole country, a lot of, I guess, the music community is probably just in an uproar right now, and it's I don't know. I just don't have the words to say right now, because I
Like,
feel
what can
you.
you say at this point?
Caution, like,
What can you say?
I mean, at some point, like if you keep doing the same thing over and over, and I know if I keep doing the same thing over and over, and I know that you're watching me, that means I don't care, and I'm that bold that I don't care. They pepper sprayed a lieutenant in the army. He was in his car.
Yeah.
He wasn't even doing anything violent. Like, the man was very respectful, very calm, hands in the air, and you fucking pepper sprayed him. But then you have the nerve to tell Colin Kaepernick and them that they can't kneel on the sidelines because it's disrespecting our troops. But yet you pepper spray him, and he is not doing anything out of the way. He has his hands in the
Full
air.
uniform.
He's not yelling. I've watched the video like at least 10 times. I didn't see anything that would like make you feel like your life is in jeopardy or anything. If you feel like there's a
Yeah, I
situation
agree.
like that, call a supervisor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I get, like you said, on my social media,
No,
I get very passionate about it. It just, I don't know.
No, I'm with you because it can. You can go there easily. I know I'd be going there easily because I mean, all the dude was asking was, "What are you pulling me over for?" And you know that the police officer was just in his feelings, wanted to be in control. He couldn't even do that. You know, and I don't know. It gets me frustrated time and time again. And a lot of people that I've talked to, people have said I'm tired and enough is enough. So I don't know. It's crazy, man. So
Yeah. And I think in the Floyd case, you know, they started off by bringing up his past. You know what I mean? But he's the one deceased. He's the one dead and gone. You know, his life was taken for the whole world to see. You know, but you know they want to bring up his past. They want to bring up a counterfeit, you know, 20 and all of this stuff that they want to bring up about him. But he's the one that's dead, and it almost made me feel like he was on trial. You know, so I mean that's just the place that we live in. Like it just feels like there is no justice. So it is frustrating to wake up being a black man not knowing the outcome of your day based on just because of the color of your skin.
That's all it is. A counterfeit $20 bill should not cost you your life. You should go to jail, you know. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know the solution. And I think that's the frustrating part is because I don't know the solution. You know what I mean? I don't know how you tell a cop, hey, you shouldn't kill people. I mean, you would think that's pretty fucking common sense. Like you should fucking know not to kill people. You're here to protect people. You know, I do understand that there are a lot of police officers who suffer. Oh, I heard an echo. That have suffered PTSD. You know, but if that's the case, don't hire people who have been in those situations. Like there needs to be real deal, like mental training, and you know, I don't know. I mean, everybody isn't up for that. Like you got to be skilled in the fact that you know, if shit goes down, you can determine who's a real threat. You know what I mean? Now the Derek Chauvin situation, I mean, that's some evil shit. Like you had your knee on that man's neck, and people were telling you, hey, he was in here. Hey man, like that was malicious. That was probably as malicious as it can get. You know what I mean? And like you said, they try to bring up the past, but whatever he did in the past doesn't matter. It's in that moment. And you had him detained. You had 4, 5, 6 officers. Like if you can't detain one man with the 6 of you without killing him, that says something about all of you. And none of y'all need a job.
Did we find out if the 20 was real or not? That was the whole point of the situation. I'm pretty sure they didn't even care whether the 20 was real or not.
Nah,
it's crazy.
nah.
I got a question though, since we, you know, not to keep you in your emotions and everything, but you know, we recently just lost a legend in the game, hip hop game, DMX.
Thank you. Yes.
And you say you from the South, from Atlanta, you're Southern rooted. So, how was your experience coming up on up north music? And did you listen to DMX?
I listen to DMX. Who didn't listen to DMX in the 90s? Y'all gonna make me drink for real. I'm gonna need a whole shot and a nap after this. Yo, DMX was a legend. I mean, you know, I remember growing up riding around in my little red Camry back in the day, flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, like, I mean, that whole reciting his prayers, you know, he was so original. And I think one of the things that you'll continue to hear from people is that he wasn't that flashy guy. Like, he wasn't the person that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
was like egotistical or anything. He really genuinely cared about like the people who were around him. You know, I was blessed to have the opportunity to interview him a couple times, and even go to events, meet and greets. That the label hosted. When he would have albums drop, and always very kind, very fun. One of the craziest things I ever saw, probably in the history of the radio station, when it used to be on, when we finally moved to like a big building. Like, we thought we were big time, like we were over there on a Piedmont Avenue. DMX came in the studio on Empress Cersei's show, Empress Cersei and Miss Shanika's show, and he brought I think he brought two dogs. I believe he brought two dogs. But then, like, he, that's not, he he literally lit up a blunt in the studio, and we had an operations manager by the name of Uncle Frank, and Uncle Frank was like, "Hey, I'm gonna need somebody to go in there and tell him that he can't smoke in the studio." And because I mean, we were in a corporate building at that point. And then so, but during the interview, he kept cussing. I mean, and like, we, because we had just moved up to this new building, we had like a new dump system. And so we were like, okay, well, we just hit the button, and we catch the bleed. Nobody told Cersei that you only have two dumps. So by the time you get two fucks in on the interview, it's over. Like, you have no more. So if you were in your car, DMX was sitting there like, and this motherfucker told me one time, the shit that you go through in life, them bitches be fucking. And I mean, Cersei's just hitting the button, bless his heart. He's thinking that, he's catching every cuss word possible. Oh, we all came running in the studio. You're on the air live. And DMX was like, yo, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know. So, but I mean, he was always one of those
Sound
people
like
that
it.
was, he, he was hilarious. And he was a jokester, and he was just, but he was very, it could be the first time or the 10th time that you met him. He's always going to greet you the same, very kind, very, just very warm, very, very, very good person, very good soul.
Yeah, I heard Swiss Beats talking about him, and Swiss was just saying how he prayed more for other people
Right.
than he prayed for himself, and that just shows you what you pretty much said. That's his character, man. Most people won't do that. Most people are like, "Yo, I'm gonna pray, and I'm gonna pray for what I need and what I need only." But for him to pray for other people
And
more
it,
than himself,
and definitely like him being 14, going through what he went through, and still having the mind to accomplish everything that he accomplished with that. Like, that's crazy too.
Right,
I
right,
agree. I
right.
agree.
So it was what Simmons came out and said. The man saved Def Jam.
Mm.
Yeah.
He saved Def Jam. I mean, like, even with all of his backstory, his background, and everything he's been through, like you said, like, he done so much for people. You know what I mean? He's done so much for people all over the world. He's been broken, but to the point where he could help others. He was not. He definitely wasn't a selfish man. He gave so much of himself. Like, that's. I mean, I fell in love with his music when I was a kid. I fell in love with his movies.
Yeah.
Romeo Must Die. And then the one he did with what's his buddy's name? Jet Jet
Jet Li.
Jet Li.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I loved him. I loved him growing up, man.
Yeah.
So I hate it, man. I've been taking it hard past few
I
days.
think that just shows you, no matter like how low you get, no matter where you are, never get to the point where you can't help nobody. Because he was low, drugged out sometimes, but he still prayed, helped people. So I think that's a lesson for everybody. Like, never always help somebody and willing to be help somebody. So
Really kind of said something deep. I don't want to quote him, but it was something to the effect of, and we do this as a culture. We cancel people because they're not popping at the time, or uh they're not current. We don't give them the opportunity or their flowers while they're here. And I think a lot of people feel like, hey, we should have done something to help X, you know. And I think that's true. And I think, more could have been done. And a lot of people who are giving him flowers now should have gave him his flowers, while he's here. And that goes for a lot of artists that we've lost, older artists, newer artists.
When you we have kind of three main topics on our pod. When you hear the word faith, I guess what comes to your mind?
Faith.
Yes,
Y'all
correct.
just want me to cry the whole interview? Like I feel like I'm a woman.
Sorry,
Once we get emotional, we can cry over anything. Um, Faith, I mean, for me, God, faith, higher power, God. I'm so grateful for the people that were placed in my life. I'm so great. I mean, the thing I'm most grateful for in my whole life is my two sons. I mean, they're my world. They actually gave me purpose. Like before, I mean, literally, you can ask any of my friends. I mean, they'll tell you, like, I mean, radio was my life. It's still a part of my life, but
Mm.
my boys are my life. They're the reason I breathe. They're the reason I want to be a better person. Um, Everything I do it for them to make sure that they have the opportunity to be better humans than I was. But I would not. I don't feel like I would have them without my faith in God, and believing that. Because I mean, there was such a, not to get too deep and dark, but I mean, there was, like, a place where I didn't think I could have kids. I mean, hell, I was in a 10-year relationship, and I've never been on birth control. So I mean, by 36, 37, I'm like, well, the shit ain't gonna happen. And then I remember, how come all these other friends, and I'm like, I kind of got my feelings a bit one time, and I'm like, how come all these other people who don't want kids have kids? And here I am, I'm ready to love somebody and I can't have kids. And then I just
Mm.
remember, literally, hand up, I was on, I just got off I-20 on Fulton Industrial. I had one of my little 5-minute gangster cries, and then I said, all right, suck it up. I believe in God. If it's meant to be, it'll be. Literally, like 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm gonna be like
Oh
40
wow.
and pregnant, but that's cool. I'll take it. But I mean, I believe that faith goes a long way. And I believe that, no matter what you believe in, no matter what religion you believe in, even if you just believe in a higher power, I think that, you know, faith can definitely move mountains.
Okay, okay, I love that. So, uh, like you said, we're built off of three main topics: faith, culture, and truth. So, I guess with the culture, how do we tie in, especially like here in Atlanta? How do we tie in our truth? I guess with everything going on, as far as like George Floyd and all of this stuff going on around the country, how do we hold on to our truth as to who we are as a people? And that's music, that's our belief system. How do we hold on to who we are, and not change and be bitter and angry on the inside for the things that we're dealing with? So, how do we tie in our truth with our culture as to who we are?
I think that that is like a 10-layer question. Um, I think that no matter what we do, I think that every time this happens, unfortunately, we're always going to be angry. We're always going to cry. We're always going to, I don't know if we're ever going to stop being angry, but I think that anger is good because it doesn't allow us to be complacent and just let shit slide. And, now I do salute this generation because they're not taking this shit. They will burn the fucking city
Right.
down to prove a point. You know, um, I think that as radio and media personalities, we have to continue to use our social media platforms, our radio platforms, to bring awareness every single time, to let these motherfuckers know that we are watching, that we are keeping count, that we are holding people accountable.
Mm.
And I think the heads know, the chiefs and you know the the head people know that you can't just sweep shit under the rug anymore. We are keeping track of the people that, you convict. We are keeping track of what's going on, and that, we'll get a Ben Crump, we'll get a, Reverend Jesse Jackson. We'll do whatever we need to do, but shit's just not going to go unnoticed anymore. And I salute this generation and this culture, because that's one thing about it, is they're definitely some freedom fighters, and they will stand up for something that's not right. And I think it's phenomenal.
So we got two more questions, and we'll get out your way. I have to ask this question because I couldn't help. I guess it's kind of for the ladies, I guess you could say, because you said you're a mom, you work a lot of hours. How do you have that balance as a lady, being a professional lady in your career, and also having the kids? Like, how does Beyonce kind of make that work?
I think it's an everyday struggle. And, there are going to be the good days where everything kind of works out and you're balanced. Mom life is hard. Like, and, single mom life is even harder. I mean, like, because when you have a partner, I mean, you men, you guys, there's some really phenomenal, and there's single dads too. But, when you have a partner and stuff like that, a lot of times when you have a newborn, y'all ain't finna wake up in the middle of the night and feed the kid. Y'all gonna be like, I didn't hear it. Y'all gonna play asleep, all types of stuff, even if it is your turn. And we're gonna kick you, we're gonna push you. But you know what? Eventually, it takes so much work to try to wake y'all up that we just give up and we go ahead and do it. But I am now on the single mom side of
I
it.
don't know about
And
being glad, but go ahead.
you said what?
I don't know about the part about being glad and waking up, but go ahead.
But like, shout out to all the single moms, because I mean, I only have two. I couldn't imagine, not only being in a pandemic, but working from home and having like three or four. I mean, that's hardcore. And like virtual learning, like, this pandemic has taken parenting to an entire another level. But I mean, I think the thing that kind of gets you through it is to see your kids smile, and to know that, regardless of what's going on, they're your priority and everything else falls in line. I'm blessed to have a very understanding job that kind of lets my schedule fluctuate. So, I'm up early at the crack of dawn, and then I can take a break for a minute, get them ready to school. And then once they're to school, I can come back like right now and, do my work and stuff like that. So that way, when they get home, I have some them time, eat dinner, cook, try to clean the house. I mean, that's not always an everyday thing, but, we try. And then, when they go to bed, I'm probably going to end up working before I go to sleep. Dating life, it's something I haven't navigated while being a parent. Um, I mean, while being, going through this right now with kids, I've never had to date someone and like do the whole, meet your kids thing. So I'm still navigating that right now. But yeah, like, it's that. I don't know if you'll ever, I think that's a loaded question, because I don't know if you'll ever find balance. You can just, as long
Yeah.
as your kids are happy, and sometimes I do believe, moms, if you're listening, I do believe that you do need those moments to where, like, you, even if you don't want to spend the money, get a babysitter, grandma's house, sister, cousin, uncle, drop the kids off, go sit in the car. Like, go get a glass of
Hmm.
wine with your girlfriend. Go get your nails done. Like, I think sometimes women forget to do those little things that just make you feel like a human instead of like a robot just going through the process. But you do have to take time out for yourself, even if it's only once a month, once every 2 weeks, as much as possible. For me, some days it might be when I pull up in the driveway and just the kids are quiet in the car. I might take 10 minutes before I get out the car and just debrief before, chaos ensues. But, you know, it's all about you finding balance and just, getting everything done. But as long as the kids are happy, safe, and well, and the bills are paid, I'm happy.
We like to close this Area 31 out with a kind of a quick word of inspiration for people? You pretty much been talking all episode, but can you do like a quick little a moment of inspiration, and then, like Marcus said?
I cannot tell you enough to never stop believing in yourself, never stop believing in your dream, and just continue to stay prayed up and have faith, and I feel like, it may take time, but you have to be faithful and you have to be patient and you have to put in the work behind it. But I know it sounds, cliche and cheesy, but I feel like with hard work, I feel like you can do anything that you want with hard work and faith.
No, that's good. No, we appreciate it. We appreciate you just rocking with Area 31 today. Definitely just gave us some good knowledge, and we appreciate you just rocking with us. Real talk, so.
So you guys are great.